So, and I hope all of you have also paid your tickets. I'm that MEC that always sets up roadblocks as part and parcel of Ukaim Lao. And some of you, we do find you drunk, by the way, and you try to bribe our traffic officers. You must know that you land in jail. But one day I asked them, very interestingly, so I asked them, how do you set up your roadblocks, especially at night? They say, no, we look for a car with neon lights. And I hope some of you are not driving neon lights. You must know that if you drive a neon, you'll be stopped. They say one or the other, they know you are drunk. And when they set up their roadblock, they place it strategically closer to an ATM. So that then, as you try to bribe them with 50 rand, they tell you, listen here, I can't be fired for 50 rand. You know that Mazibo woman will kick me out. And you can see there's 8 of us. So when you go to that ATM, you must bring something very clever. But because they know you don't have money, you then succumb to what they're doing. So I'm not sharing with you what you must do, but I'm making you never do it, because they will tell you that there is that woman, and now I know where roadblocks have been set up. You dare bribe the traffic officer. They say there's also, it takes 2 to tango. There's a briber and a bribee. So says English. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome on stage our Deputy President. Hey, this is the man who has these bodyguards that trap people. So please be careful. When you see those cars, you must run very fast and run very far. Chimomosa, Spokes, Paul Mashatile, the Deputy President of the country.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Now, every time I meet MEC Faith Mazibuk, this is how I greet her. Chovicho. Abayazi leyo. That's how we greet. Thank you very much, MEC, for welcoming me. I can also confirm that the Premier has apologized that he won't be joining us this evening. Actually, I left him at that meeting. He had hoped that he will follow me, but he couldn't. It's something that he's briefing the officials of the ANC on. But thank you very much, Program Director Oliver Dixon. Let me also acknowledge the MEC for Transport and Logistics in Gauteng, MEC Kidiboni Diale Tlabe. I couldn't see the MEC for Transport from the Northwest, but if she's around somewhere in the house, we welcome her. Let me also welcome MEC for Mobility in the Western Cape. That's MEC Ricardo McKenzie, who's also here with us. There are many representatives here from the transport sector, so I won't be able to acknowledge many of you by name, but there's Fleetwood Grobler, the CEO of Sasol, there's the organizer of the event, Ben Pullen from VUCA Group, sponsors, Ms. Staff Sitole has just addressed us. Siyabonga majob. So Kaule, We do have representatives of the Taxi Association, Santaco, Gauteng, and Gauteng National Taxi Alliance. We also welcome you. Then there are officials led by the DG and Tate Musue is here with us, and there are other officials who are here, CEOs. If there are MMCs in the room, we also welcome you. Business chambers and all distinguished guests. Normally, people like saying, if you're not sure if you're leaving somebody out, you say all protocol observed. Program Director, I want to firstly congratulate the province of Gauteng for convening this Smart Mobility Africa Summit. MEC, such gatherings demonstrate how you and your team, of course, with the Premier, comprehend the province's role in the continent and also across the world. I'm honored that you have invited me to come home to participate and share some of my views on this crucial topic. Indeed, it always feels good to be home. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the mega trends currently affecting the world today, which I believe will be central to your discussion throughout this conference, includes globalization, inequality, environmental crisis, demographic changes, and the need to transform economies in the global south. According to UNDP, there are 7.7 billion in the world, and projects that this figure is expected to rise to about 8.5 billion by 2030 and 9.7 billion people by 2050. We find it significant that of the 2 billion people who will be added to this population, half will come from sub-Saharan Africa. In addition, the African Development Bank Group predicts that by that period, cities would account for about 80% of the continent's population increase. With the global growth, however, it's accompanied by this inequality, which poses a serious threat to global development and also peace and security. Now, in the light of the accelerated urbanization expected over the next few years, governments, but cities in particular, must prioritize urban planning policies that are responsive to these changes. This includes, amongst others, investing in infrastructure, investing in network industries, particularly to ensure a sustainable ecosystem that promotes the quality of life of all the people. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that the need for the transportation of both people and goods will always exist and is in most aspects one of the few ways in which economic development occurs. As we all know, The African continent has undergone significant changes. Equally, with the rise of rapid technological breakthroughs, there is now the opportunity to revolutionize transport networks in a way never thought possible before. To enhance the efficacy and sustainability of our transport system, we must seize the opportunity presented by technology. This is because major cities, if you look at cities like Lagos, Nairobi, Johannesburg, and others, these cities face significant challenges, amongst others in congestion, overcrowded public transport systems, sometimes poor traffic management, and overall inefficient public transportation system in some of them. It is evident that with all the advancements and investments we have made thus far, as a continent, we need more imaginative mobility solutions that can leverage on technology to optimize routes, reduce traffic congestions, and use data to provide real-time information to commuters. This can greatly enhance our transportation networks' overall efficiency and reliability, and will go a long way towards our development aspirations efforts. In addition, smart mobility solutions can have a significantly positive impact on the environment. As the African continent, we are in a position to shape and transform this sector. An engagement such as this one provides valuable contributions to the pursuit of our developmental goals and commitment to a more sustainable future. This brings us to the topic of battery electric vehicles and clean energy sources. By transitioning electric vehicles and adopting clean energy sources, we can reduce carbon emissions and contribute towards achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. As government, we remain committed to supporting and investing in expansion and development of new and existing manufacturing plants to support the production of new energy vehicles, their components, and to grow the level of employment in the automotive sector. Investing in new energy vehicles also contribute to the decarbonization of road transport. It is our moral and environmental duty to address this issue by investing in sustainable transport solutions such as electric and hydrogen-powered vehicles, promoting public transit, and adopting renewable energy sources for transportation. To support the efforts towards a transition to more energy-efficient transportation, the Sustainable Energy Fund for Africa, an initiative of the African Development Bank Group, is committing $1 million for technical assistance towards the Green Mobility Facility for Africa. It is crucial, therefore, that other stakeholders, including the private sector, should also commit to this transition. Ladies and gentlemen, smart mobility also holds immense potential for economic development in Africa in various ways, including the digital economy that has opened up new opportunities for innovation and entrepreneurship. As African countries embrace smart mobility solutions, local startups and businesses will emerge with great potential to thrive. Reinforcing this evolution can lead to increased job creation, skills development, and new economic opportunities across the continent. However, for smart mobility to succeed in Africa, we must address certain challenges, particularly accelerating investment in critical infrastructure and digital solutions. This includes, for example, investing towards building charging stations for electric vehicles, expanding broadband connectivity, and developing intelligent transport systems. Governments, private sector, and international partners must therefore come together to invest in this necessary infrastructure. Smarter Mobility Africa is yet another opportunity to collaborate with various stakeholders to build a better and smarter transport system that will grow the economy, create jobs, and improve people's quality of life. Program Director, that being said, there is a need for policy and regulatory frameworks to support the growth of smarter mobility solutions. Governments should therefore develop clear guidelines and regulations to ensure a safe and reliable transport system. This includes regulations on data privacy, cybersecurity, and also standards for electric vehicles. We must make it our responsibility to establish a harmonized approach to smarter mobility across the African continent. Within the framework of the South African government, the notion of smarter mobility has been embraced to align with ongoing worldwide discussions regarding the trajectory of mobility and climate change. As we progress through industrialization, urbanization, and globalization, the importance of mobility to our survival as individuals and nations also expands. On this basis, the government is championing a National Transport Master Plan 2050 strategy to establish a safe, affordable, dependable, and efficient means of transporting people and products or goods. And through this National Transport Master Plan 2050, we aim to break silo institutions and isolations by ultimately improving transport linkages with and between the more vibrant economies of the country and transforming these areas into more compelling investment destinations. We understand that we cannot discuss the transport sector's transformation without addressing the exclusion of young people or the youth, particularly girls and women, who continue to face devastating and discouraging unemployment and the risk of poverty and violence in our society. As such, South African government is invigorating the South African Network for Women in Transport, SANWIT, to break the existing barriers to entry into the sector and demystify existing myths while addressing the unique mobility needs of women and vulnerable groups in our society. We want to see women's participation, especially in sectors and industries historically classified as male-dominated. Particularly in the freight and logistic industries, including trucking, maritime, and aviation sectors. We know that historically it was strange to see a woman drive a truck. But it was because of the stereotype that, no, that's not for women. So we are saying let women come into all these sectors, including this one. So Program Director, in this slide, I'm pleased that the reopening of the South African branch of women in the maritime sector in Eastern and Southern Africa, HUMESA, would be a significant boost to women in maritime. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, investing in infrastructure and operational efficiencies supported by technology and systems to bring about efficient production and trade to boost economic growth should be our top priority as a continent. We should focus on developing transport systems and cities that enable individuals to conveniently reach their workplaces, access opportunities, and utilize social services catering to their needs and their requirements. It is further essential to recognize that children, women, people living with disabilities, and the elderly have different mobility needs. By focusing on our investments on serving these diverse needs, we can help improve their quality of life too and enable meaningful participation in society. For example, the Gauteng government invested in public transport infrastructure in the past few years heavily, and this has seen a great deal of improvement in efficiencies around the movement of people in the cities. And by the way, it's not only the Gauteng government, also the cities themselves. You know, Johannesburg, Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, we know the bus rapid transit systems in the three metros, Gautrain by the Gauteng government, community rails systems are being improved, G-Fleet, and other smart mobility initiatives. I'm happy to see Jack van der Merwe is in the room with his wife. Now, those of you who don't know Jack van der Merwe is the man I found when I was appointed as MEC for Transport in 1996. So when Premier Mbazi Mashilowa appointed me there, in fact, I'm wrong, it was Tokyo, Sehwale at the time. Premier Tokyo Sehwale appointed me as MEC for Transport. I obviously had to go and look at where are these people. And finally, I did find Jack, who was the HOD. And I must say we worked together very well over those years. And we went around all over the world. And ultimately, we came and then started building Gautrain. So thank you very much, Jack. So, Program Director, these systems only account for less than 30% of the total public transport network, because the majority of public transport users depend on minibus taxis for their mobility and needs, which is the taxis, with the current statistics showing a possible over 70% in this mode. This phenomenon cuts across the continent. So the point I'm making is that we need to ensure integrated public transport system. So we need to build on the other transport systems as well, particularly commuter rail. If you go to most of the developed countries, you'll find that many people use trains. Of course, you'll use taxis as feeder systems, and it's contrary in South Africa, where many of us prefer to use cars. Of course, because we don't have efficient commuter rail system, so I don't blame you. We need to improve that so that people can get on the trains. So we must reassess our approach to resolving issues pertaining to access opportunities and social services through mobility needs. The design of our cities and the availability of services to the people should be informed by their needs. Coming out of this Smart Mobility Summit, the government must develop policies and transport systems that help people get to their places of work and access opportunities and businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, mobility as a service should also be considered a smart kind of mobility. We have witnessed an increase in online shopping, residential deliveries, changing how transport is utilized. I think we've heard from Uber, and we've seen how, things have changed over the past years. Now, this trend, of course, have increased, particularly during COVID, when all of us could not leave home. We had to order whatever we need. So goods were delivered to us. And we can derive many advantages from this experience, where in many of our communities we're able to get the services. But still today, these services don't reach rural areas. And that's something that we need to look into, that as we improve in the urban areas, so should we also in rural areas where mobility should become easy. Because most of those areas in the rural communities are underserviced. And that's where we need to pay attention. But also this mobility is where young people should take advantage of and be able to get into these businesses. Program Director, there may be several challenges in delivering in these areas due to many factors, including connectivity, addresses, and navigation, but we urge developers and solution providers to work with the government to raise this issue so that we can collectively find solutions to help our people. It is anticipated that initiatives like Agenda 2063 of the African Union and the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement would encourage more regional connectivity and increase investment in transport and infrastructure. Through the African Continental Free Trade Area, we can address the inconsistent and inefficient goods and logistics services that have long impeded intra-Africa trade and commerce. So this is very important because we often get criticized in the continent that we're not trading amongst one another as African countries, but sometimes it's because of the challenges of mobility. In addition, through this agreement, we'll address the high custom delay times, lack of paved roads on which goods can be conveyed, and more significant loss of goods due to limited cold chains compared to other global regions. We, the African continent, must weigh the possible advantage of this free trade area agreement for expanding our transport industry and explore investment prospects to assist us in advancing economically. Financial support through various institutions exists to make this possible, and we must make the most of these opportunities to develop our countries and regions. Program Director, let me conclude by encouraging everyone to use this conference to also deliberate on and address the need for financial inclusion and mobility of the poor, localization, and the development of new Black industrialists, and the skills of the future for the automotive industry in our continent. The potential for smarter mobility to overhaul transport networks in South Africa and in Africa is enormous, with far-reaching positive consequences for everyone involved. Together as governments, the private sector, and citizens, we must commit to building a transport system that supports the growth of Africa, that Africa aspires for, and transport mobility system such that they improve the people's quality of life. Finally, let me thank all of you for your commitment to developing and improving the transport sector, because this is a very, very important sector for our economy and economic growth. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe that transport is a sector and a vehicle that is going to continue to drive change. I look forward to productive discussions throughout your summit and collaborations in the coming days, but also let's work together in the coming years to make Africa better. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Can we give a round of applause to Deputy President Paul Mashatile?